It feels like every time you look at the news lately, there's another big company announcing job cuts.
It really does. Tesla, Microsoft, Dell.
Citigroup, I mean, the numbers are staggering. Over 275,000 jobs lost just in March, apparently.
Wow. That's, yeah, definitely makes you think twice about traditional job security.
For sure. And I saw this statistic, something like 81% of American workers are feeling anxious about their jobs.
Mm-hmm. And expecting more layoffs this year.
Exactly. It really brings into question whether that whole corporate career ladder is the safe bet we always assumed it was.
It absolutely does. And when that perceived stability starts to crumble a bit,
People look elsewhere, right?
naturally, they start looking for ways to get more control. And that's where things get interesting, I think.
Yeah. Because out of all this disruption, there's this other narrative emerging, and it's franchising.
Which, for many people, probably still brings fast food to mind first.
Right. But franchising now, in 2025,
Mm.
it seems like it's playing a whole different game.
It really is.
So that's what we want to kind of dig into today. Our goal for this deep dive is to understand why franchising is popping up as this really powerful alternative.
A way to take back the reins, so to speak.
Yeah. We've been looking at some recent articles, sources talking about how the franchise world is shifting, like right now.
And the scale is just, it's impressive. You mentioned the job losses, but on the flip side, you've got over 805,000 franchise units already operating.
Wow.
And they're talking about adding potentially 200,000 new jobs within franchising this year alone.
Okay, so that's a serious economic engine. It's
Mm.
clearly way beyond just burgers and fries.
Way beyond.
So, yeah, franchising in 2025, it's less about the old stereotypes and more about what? Freedom, ownership.
Building something for yourself, future-proofing your career, maybe. That seems to be the appeal based on these articles.
And the models are changing too, right? It's not just Main Street storefronts anymore. We're seeing digital models, service
Right.
models.
Which connects right back to that corporate uncertainty we started with. Well, the articles talk about a pretty significant corporate exodus. You've got experienced people leaving tech, healthcare, finance.
Education too was mentioned.
Right. Professionals deciding to leave those traditional paths.
And it's not like they're just looking for a little side project, is it?
No. The sources really emphasize these are serious moves. People hitting burnout or facing layoffs or just seeing promotions dry up.
So they're looking for autonomy,
Yeah.
control.
Exactly. And franchising is presenting itself as a viable path to get that.
And the industry's responding with different kinds of opportunities.
It seems so. We're seeing growth in what they call executive model B2B franchises.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? Less hands-on.
Yeah, potentially. More focus on management, strategy, business development, not necessarily making the widgets yourself.
Gotcha.
And there are semi-absentee models, too, offering more flexibility, plus huge growth in home services.
Like cleaning, restoration, senior care, that kind of thing.
Yeah, precisely. Often lower overhead, potentially good margins, and also things like professional coaching, staffing, consulting franchises. It's a much broader field now.
That leads nicely into another point that jumped out. These low-cost, asset-light models. Sounds appealing.
Very appealing. The idea is often minimal traditional overhead.
So maybe no retail lease.
Hmm.
Less inventory.
Exactly. Minimal equipment, maybe even minimal staff to start. Think about how much that reduces your initial nut and your ongoing costs.
Yeah, big time. The articles gave examples like senior care coordination, restoration businesses working on-site.
Cleaning services, bookkeeping from a home office, coaching, real estate support.
A lot of mobile or remote or service-based stuff.
Right, which inherently cuts those traditional fixed costs.
And the entry point is lower.
Often, yeah. Some of these models, the startup costs can apparently be under $150,000.
Okay, that's more accessible for a lot of people.
And if you combine that with potentially decent margins and maybe running it from home, managing a virtual team, you can see the attraction.
Especially for B2B services with recurring revenue potential.
Definitely.
Okay, now this next one. This feels very 2025. AI. Artificial intelligence in franchising.
Yeah. This isn't just theory anymore. It's becoming a real advantage.
How are franchises actually using it?
Well, the smart franchisors are using it for operations, for finding new leads, for scheduling, even basic customer service.
So automating the background stuff.
Pretty much. If a system uses AI well to handle the admin, that frees up the owner's time enormously. That's a big selling point.
The articles mention things like automating CRM follow-ups, predictive analytics for staffing or inventory.
Yep. AI-powered training for new hires, chatbots for initial customer questions.
Sounds like it could really streamline things, take a load off the owner.
That's the idea. For the franchisee, it could mean scaling faster, fewer admin headaches.
And for the franchisor, better performance across the board, making the whole system more valuable.
Exactly. It makes the whole network stronger.
Interesting. Okay, another trend identified was about who is buying franchises now. It's not just experienced operators.
Apparently not. We're seeing more first-time buyers jumping straight into owning multiple units.
Really? Multiple territories right off the bat? That sounds like a big leap.
It does, but think about those lower overhead models we talked about, home services, mobile brands. It makes multi-unit ownership more financially feasible.
Ah, okay. Lower cost per unit.
Right. And the article has also said financing options like SBA loans and specific franchise funding are maybe more accessible now for the right people.
So these multi-unit owners, they're not in the weeds at every single location.
Generally not. They're taking more of a CEO approach from day one.
Building teams, managing managers.
Exactly. Focusing on strategy, growth, maybe outsourcing some operations. There are even coaching programs popping up specifically for these multi-unit operators.
Okay. Now, this next one I found really interesting. National account opportunities. Can you unpack that?
Sure. This is particularly relevant for commercial service franchises.
Like cleaning or maintenance for businesses.
Yeah. The idea is the franchisor negotiates big contracts with national companies. Think retail chains needing regular service everywhere, or property managers, corporate campuses.
Okay.
And then the local franchisees in those areas get to actually service those pre-negotiated accounts.
Ah. So as a local owner, you get this built-in business from major clients, recurring revenue.
That's the big draw. It creates a more stable income base, less pressure on constantly finding small individual customers.
Makes sense. The article said this is good for people with sales backgrounds.
Yeah, it seems particularly attractive if you understand B2B sales and want to scale up relatively quickly, since a chunk of revenue is already lined up.
Got it. And talking about growth sectors,
Yeah.
health and wellness seems to be absolutely booming in franchising.
Undeniably. The whole wellness economy is massive, and franchising is tapping right into it.
Like boutique fitness studios.
Yep. Specialized fitness, ID therapy clinics, hormone optimization centers, nutritional support, all sorts of proactive health services.
What's driving that specifically in franchising?
Well, a big factor seems to be the post-pandemic shift. People are just generally more invested in health, looking for preventative care.
Makes sense.
And a lot of these wellness franchises use membership or subscription models.
Ah, recurring revenue again.
Exactly. Predictable income is always attractive for a business owner.
Okay, now this next one sounds a bit different. The franchise flip. What's the story there?
Yeah, it's basically applying a classic investment strategy, buy, build, exit to the franchise world.
So not necessarily buying to run it forever.
Not always. These are often investors who might buy several units or a whole territory, focus on optimizing operations, building strong teams.
And then sell the whole package.
Right. Aiming for an exit in maybe 3 to 7 years.
Treating the franchises like assets to be developed and sold for profit.
Pretty much. And apparently, successful franchise resales can get pretty good multiples, like 3 to 6 times EBITDA.
Okay, so that's attracting a different kind of investor, maybe. People from private equity or real estate.
It seems to be drawing some interest from those areas, yes, as an alternative asset class.
What about good old-fashioned brick-and-mortar stores, though? Are they still relevant?
Oh, definitely. The articles were clear. Physical locations aren't disappearing. They're just adapting, getting smarter.
How so? Smaller spaces?
Often, yeah. Maybe 800 to 1,500 square feet instead of massive footprints. Also, more focus on multiple revenue streams in one place.
Like a shop that also offers a service.
Exactly, like a pet store with grooming or a fitness studio selling apparel and supplements. And location is key strategic spots in suburban centers, medical plazas, high-visibility strip malls, maybe slightly lower rent than prime downtown.
So physical presence still matters a lot for things like food, fitness, beauty, where the experience counts.
Absolutely. And landlords are apparently quite keen on strong franchise brands that bring reliable foot traffic. They might offer better lease terms.
Okay. And we should also talk about resales buying an existing franchise.
Right. That's another important avenue. Can be a great option.
Why is that? What's the advantage?
Well, instead of starting from zero, you're buying a business that's already operating. It often comes with cash flow from day one.
Trained staff, existing customers.
Exactly. You can potentially skip a lot of the really tough startup phase, that initial grind to build awareness and clientele.
But you still get the franchisor's support and systems.
In many cases, yes. The articles mentioned resales are pretty common and can work well in sectors like food service, home care, restoration, fitness. It's a way to potentially hit the ground running.
Good point. And finally, something really positive mentioned was diversity in franchise ownership.
Yes, that's a great trend to see highlighted. More women, more veterans, more entrepreneurs from underrepresented groups are finding real success in franchising.
Which suggests the model itself can be quite democratic.
The articles really emphasize that if you're willing to follow the system, put in the work, it can be a level playing field.
It comes back to fundamentals then. Follow the playbook, work hard, treat people well.
Pretty much. And using the resources the franchisor provides, learning from other franchisees in the network, tapping into that collective knowledge.
Your background isn't the main thing. It's about commitment and execution.
That's the message, yes. Your work ethic drives the results.
So pulling all this together, franchising in 2025 sounds incredibly dynamic. It's really evolved beyond those old ideas.
Absolutely. It seems like a genuine path towards, potential financial independence and having more control.
Especially now with all the uncertainty around traditional jobs we talked about at the start.
Right. The newer models, the tech integration, the focus on recurring revenue, the scalability, it all adds up to a pretty modern, attractive opportunity for a lot of different people.
So for anyone listening, if this deep dive has sparked something, if the idea of taking control resonates, maybe given the current job market.
If you're wondering, okay, this sounds interesting, but where would I even start?
Exactly. If you're thinking about exploring this, seeing if it could be right for you, we really want to share a fantastic resource. We strongly suggest you contact George for a free strategy call. Seriously, this guy is the real deal.
He really is.
He's got over 30 years of experience deep inside the franchising world. I mean, he knows everybody worth knowing in the business.
His insight and network, it's invaluable if you're seriously considering this path. He can provide so much clarity.
Totally. He can help you figure out if franchising actually aligns with your own goals, your finances, everything. No obligation, just solid advice.
A conversation with George could save you a lot of time and potentially point you in a direction you hadn't even considered.
Couldn't agree more. So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with today is, considering everything, the changes in franchising, the opportunities, the economic shifts.
Is now the time.
Yeah, is now the time for you to maybe bet on yourself and really explore what's possible in this evolving franchise landscape.